Are you a cat person or a dog person? That's a question you hear over and over again. But if you're in this little town in Tennessee, you're more likely to hear, are you a dog person or a goat person? At first glance, things look pretty typical in Lewisburg, Tennessee.
Morning, Mayor.
Morning, Lee.
But actually, this town is going to, well, the goats.
What I love about them is they are like medium-sized dogs with hooves. They are very sweet. They're easy to be with, and they're always happy. Each goat has its own unique personality. You hungry? Come here, bud. Buddy is the easiest one. He comes on in, and he'll stand around while I'm cooking. Then sometimes, like, he'll come up on the balcony and he'll just lie down. If I'm sitting there reading, he'll lie down, just like a dog. Ariel is different. She is affectionate with me, but she is afraid of people. When we are alone, she is the most affectionate out of the three goats in that she will rub her head against my head and she will actually kiss me here. Red, I think she's left out a little bit with the other two because they're siblings. She gets picked on the most, especially if I put food out for all three. She will be the last. So the only time she's close with me is if I have food. Otherwise, she doesn't need me. They first started coming in the house when I left this back door open, and they just walked on in, and at first they were sliding all over on my hardwood floors, and I thought it was real sweet, and they were real good. They move slowly, and if I'm moving slowly and not moving quickly, they're calm. Lots of times they like to have a picnic out here, and they will lie down next to me and just relax. So whether they're indoor or outdoor, they are really easy. I will go down and get my mail. And when I start walking up the driveway and they see, oh, Mommy's got mail, and they will go after the junk mail and the newspapers. So if I'm sitting on the patio reading the paper, I can count that being gone because they'll start at the corners and work their way up. If you're going to get a goat, I suggest that you do vertical landscaping. Don't put anything on the ground because it won't last. So if you're looking at my house, everything's in hanging baskets, everything is hung off the wall. If you're gonna have goats, have a rock garden.
Lewisburg is the county seat of Marshall County, and all fainting goats originated, I think, in the 1880s. In Marshall County, and people were fascinated by this genetic disorder they had of myotonia, which causes them not to faint actually, but they get stiff-legged, and if they're unbalanced they fall over, and so people call them fainting goats.
Because of the popularity of the fainting goats originating here in Marshall County, Tennessee, Tennessee has become the second largest goat producer in the nation.
We didn't have a festival, and we started thinking about what we could do to celebrate. We hope to keep it focused on something that's unique to Marshall County, and that's the fainting goats. That's why we call it the Goats Music and More Festival.
I started working with the city on the Goats Music and More Planning Commission and had a good time learning about goats. Didn't know much about it except growing up in Marshall County, you'd heard about fainting goats. And at the first festival, I saw this adorable little white pygmy goat and went up and petted her, and she was so sweet, and I said, I think I'd like to have a goat. My goat's name is Camilla Parker Bowles, like the wife of Prince Charles. My name is Lee Bowles, so I wanted to keep it in the family. Camilla is the prettiest goat in Marshall County, and that's just not my opinion. It was a contest, and it was decided she won. Camilla is what I would call a true goat. She doesn't really like to be put on a leash and led around. She's friendly, but she's a little bit less domesticated than some.
Fainting goats are very docile goats compared to others, and they have sweet dispositions, especially if they are bottle fed when they're real little. I was surprised too at how affectionate goats are. They are wonderful companions in that respect.
Of course, they're very social animals. When you get ready to feed the goats, they just gather around you. and like puppy dogs. They love to jump up on you, and of course, a lot of times they'll get excited when you get ready to feed them. They'll just faint and fall over at the feed trough.
Larry's got a great farm out there, and he's kind enough to let me go out anytime I want, have a little piece of the country, and I can bring my work and sit down and enjoy Camilla, just enjoy all the goats.
The fainting goat in particular is not a big goat. They are gentle, and they'll eat almost anything, and they're friendly, they're good with grandchildren, and they're athletic. You know, if you get a female goat, they do not have that characteristic goat smell. And I have not washed her. She is self-cleaning. She preens like a cat. Make sure she's got water, and she can survive several days on her own, eating anything.
If someone is thinking about purchasing a fainting goat, the biggest, most important thing I would recommend to them is go to a reputable breeder, someone you know. Health issues with goats are very important.
It's surprising how they can understand me. And they know when I'm being strict with them, they know when I'm in a playful mood, and they know when I don't want to be bothered. So it's amazing how they pick up on language. And of course, the one language that everybody understands is the language of love, and they express it and they understand it.